about you, but one of the biggest talking points of the last week, particularly for us over here in the United Kingdom, was the did he, didn't he, King Charles and Prince Harry and the phone call. I mean, when you think about it, as I told you the other day, we told you the facts as we find them, and that are, the facts that were told to me directly from a very well-placed source. And let's be honest, His Majesty the King, a very busy man, who would want their day spoilt with somebody moaning and whinging, who's somebody who's really given you a lot of grief over the last few years. Why would you want that? But what's interesting is a lot of people are asking me, well, why are these stories still spinning around? So I thought, as ever, I'd clear this up particularly for you. Now, let me explain. Hi, how are you? Nice to see you. And as ever, thank you so much for joining me today. Interesting, really, because as I say, you look at that particular story and you think, well, why on earth did the palace not rebuke it? Why did they not come out and say? Well, as I've said to you before, it wouldn't necessarily be the focus that they want on. If they come out and say, yes, this happened or this didn't happen, then the story moves away from the stories in hand, which were the King's Charity Foundation, the food bank thing that he's working on, the stuff that William's working on. They don't need this celebrity tittle-tattle that Harry and Meghan are trying desperately to change and turn the British monarchy into. But of course the stories keep on coming. You see, over at News UK, The Sun, they have a vested interest, for instance, in pushing along with this tawdry book, the one that's now got all these revelations from a person that's known to be a complete liar. Literally not my words, but those of the words of the court. People knew that suddenly they'd remembered, they colluded in that book. And let's not forget the catastrophic car chase that never happened, and we told you suddenly mysteriously not detailed too well in that book. So why, for instance, would the Sun carry on with this? Well, let me tell you, see, the book publisher is owned by that particular company. So they really have a vested interest in going along with these scandalous stories. You get the picture. Over to the Telegraph, who broke the story of allegedly the King, of course, having a conversation with his youngest son, Prince Harry. Why do they do that? Well, again, let me tell you, it's quite simple. The Telegraph was one of the favoured newspapers that Harry and Meghan claimed all those years ago now they were willing to speak to. Do you remember they said they didn't want to speak to X, Y, Z, and they were going to be working with grassroots levels journalists? Never seen that happen. Oh no, I don't recall anybody working for Variety being a grassroots level journalist. To you, they're normally the very best in the entertainment field. Another pack of lies. But you see, the Telegraph, as I say, are a favoured publication. So that would be the reason why that spin doctor would put it out to them, knowing full well that in the fullness of time, they would literally Twitter on about it. And so they have. It gets clicks on their website and more importantly, gets them talked about. But is it true? As we told you, no. But they carry on with this because they just really want to confuse the narrative. Over in America, PR people really don't care, and it's increasing over here, exactly the sort of stories they tell you. One day, as they say, it's a clickbait, the next day they refute it, the next day that didn't happen. If you've seen the PR spin with the book Barbara Streisand, it's never stopped. One might suggest, why bother buying the book when you know all the juicy stories because they've come out for free? You see how the picture works. But going on with this particular King's birthday phone call story is simply a vested interest in all those concerned. And now I've pointed out who benefits the most, maybe you'll understand the real reason why they're pushing behind it. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.